The rain battered my face as I stood frozen in our driveway, staring at a photo of a girl who wasn't my daughter, but had her eyes. My hands shook, the soggy paper crumpling under my grip, and my heart slammed against my ribs like it was trying to escape. This was no mistake. My wife, Anna, had hidden an entire family from me for 10 years, and in one brutal moment, everything I believed in dissolved. The air smelled of wet asphalt and betrayal, her familiar jasmine scent clinging to the photo like a ghost. Our house loomed behind me, its warm lights mocking the life I thought we shared. Lily's toys scattered on the porch, Anna's laugh echoing in my memory. It all felt like a cruel joke. How could the woman who braided my hair and whispered forever in the dark live a lie this big? My throat burned with unshed tears, and the world tilted as I realized our marriage, our home, our love, was built on sand. The photo's edges cut into my palm, a small pain compared to the knife twisting in my chest. I wanted to march inside and demand answers, but my feet wouldn't move. 10 years, a decade of trust, shattered in the time it took to open her glove box. The rain kept falling, soaking my clothes, but it couldn't wash away the truth. Anna wasn't mine. Not fully. Maybe not ever. All I could hear was the roar of my pulse and the distant hum of our quiet street, where we'd planned our future. Now, that future was gone, and I was left with a single, searing question. How do you rebuild when the person you loved most has been a stranger all along? Our home sat on a quiet street in Columbus, Ohio, the kind of place where kids chased fireflies and neighbors swapped stories over lemonade. The white picket fence, the creaky porch swing, the faint scent of fresh coffee drifting from the kitchen. It was everything I'd dreamed of as a girl who grew up with nothing. I'd walk through the front door after a long day, kick off my shoes, and feel the warmth of the hardwood floor under my feet. This was my sanctuary, the life I'd built with Anna. The living room glowed with her lavender candles, their soft flicker dancing on the walls as Lily, our 8-year-old, sprawled on the rug, sketching mermaids. I'd sink into the couch, breathing in the sweet normalcy of it all, never suspecting it was a fragile illusion. I'm 38, a graphic designer who spends too much time hunched over my laptop, chasing deadlines. My friends call me the soft one, always quick to trust, to see the good in people. Maybe that's why I never questioned Anna's late nights at the hospital. I'd brush off the nagging feeling in my gut, telling myself it was just my imagination. My hair's always a messy bun, my laugh too loud, and I'm the mom who cries at Lily's school plays. I thought I knew who I was. A wife, a mother, a woman who'd finally found her place in the world. Anna, my wife, was the opposite of me in all the best ways. At 40, she carried herself with a quiet confidence that made everyone lean in. A nurse with a smile that could light up a room. She had this way of making you feel like you were the only person that mattered. Her dark hair fell in loose waves, and her hazel eyes sparkled when she teased me about my burnt toast. We'd met 12 years ago at a friend's barbecue, her hand brushing mine as we reached for the same beer. I still remember the jolt, the way my heart said, "This is it." She was my rock, the one who'd hold me when I doubted myself, who'd dance with me in the kitchen to old jazz records. But there were moments, her phone buzzing at 2 a.m., her quick glance away when I asked about her day, that I ignored. I loved her too much to dig deeper. Lily was our miracle, born after years of fertility treatments that tested our marriage. She's a whirlwind of curls and curiosity with Anna's eyes and my stubborn streak. At 8, she's obsessed with stars, always begging to stay up late to name constellations. I tuck her in, her small hand gripping mine, and feel this ache of gratitude for our little family. Lily was the glue, the reason I pushed through every doubt. I'd do anything to keep her world intact. Then there was Mark, Anna's colleague at the hospital. A quiet doctor in his late 40s, he had a kind face but a way of lingering too long when he dropped by for work stuff. I'd catch him watching Anna, his eyes soft, and she'd laugh it off, saying he was just a friend. I wanted to believe her. I did believe her. Mark was married, after all, with a life of his own. But his name kept popping up. Casual mentions in Anna's stories, a text lighting up her phone. I'd smile through the unease, telling myself I was being paranoid. Our life looked perfect from the outside. Friday date nights at the Italian place downtown, where we'd share tiramisu and talk about renovating the attic, lazy Sundays with Lily, building forts out of blankets. Neighbors envied our closeness, the way Anna and I still held hands after a decade. But there were cracks I didn't want to see. Anna's laptop was always locked, and her work trips were vaguely explained. Once, I found a receipt for a coffee shop in a town she'd never mentioned, but when I asked, she kissed my forehead and said, "You worry too much." Her voice was so warm, so steady, I let it go. Looking back, I see the signs I missed. The way she'd tense when I borrowed her phone. The late-night whispers in the bathroom, her voice too low to catch. I'd lie awake, staring at the ceiling fan's slow spin, wondering why my perfect life felt like it was slipping through my fingers. But I loved her. I loved our daughter. I loved the home we'd built, the one that smelled of lavender and coffee and safety. So I pushed the doubts down, buried them deep, and told myself we were fine. We had to be fine. Because if we weren't, what did that mean for everything I'd given my heart to? How do you question the person you've built your entire world around without risking it all? It was a Thursday night, the kind where the world feels heavy and still. I was in our garage, the air thick with the smell of motor oil and damp cardboard. Anna had just left for another late shift at the hospital, her goodbye kiss lingering on my cheek like a lie I hadn't yet named. I'd gone to her car to grab Lily's forgotten soccer cleats, my fingers brushing against something hard in the glove box. A phone. Not her usual sleek iPhone, but a cheap black burner with a cracked screen. My stomach twisted as I powered it on, the glow casting shadows on the garage walls. Texts from someone labeled M filled the screen, each one a shard of glass in my chest. "When can you see us again?" one read. "Emma misses you," said another. A name I'd never heard. A daughter who wasn't ours. My breath caught, sharp and ragged as I scrolled. The words blurred through my tears, but one phrase burned itself into my mind. Our daughter. Anna had another child, another family. The phone felt like a brick in my hand, its cold weight anchoring me to a truth I wasn't ready to face. I stumbled back, knocking over a box of Christmas lights, the clatter echoing in the empty garage. My legs gave out, and I sank to the concrete floor, the chill seeping through my jeans. 10 years of marriage, of shared dreams and whispered promises, unraveled in seconds. I could still hear Lily's laughter from earlier that day, her tiny voice asking if Mommy would be home for bedtime. How could Anna do this? How could she look me in the eye, tuck our daughter in, and carry the secret like it was nothing? I don't know how long I sat there, the rain starting to patter outside, each drop a hammer against my skull. The phone buzzed, another message from M, "She needs you." My vision swam, rage and grief clawing at my insides. I wanted to hurl the phone against the wall, to scream until my throat bled, but I couldn't move. All I could do was replay every moment I'd trusted her, every late night she'd blamed on work, every smile that hid this betrayal. My chest ached like it was caving in, and I pressed my palms to my eyes, trying to stop the tears. It didn't work. They came anyway, hot and relentless, mixing with the rain that had started to leak through the garage door. Anna's car pulled into the driveway, headlights cutting through the dark. My heart lurched. I stood, legs unsteady, and shoved the phone into my pocket. The garage door creaked open, and there she was, her nurse's scrubs wrinkled, her hair damp from the rain. She smiled, that same warm smile I'd fallen for a decade ago, and it felt like a slap. "Hey, babe," she said, tossing her keys onto the workbench. "What are you doing out here? It's freezing." I couldn't speak at first. My mouth opened, but the words stuck, tangled in the fury and hurt choking me. Finally, I held up the phone, my hand trembling so hard it nearly slipped from my grip. "Who's Emma?" My voice cracked, barely above a whisper, but it carried every ounce of my pain. Anna's face changed in an instant. Her smile vanished, her eyes widened, and for the first time in our marriage, I saw fear in her. Real, raw fear. "It's not what you think," she said, stepping toward me, her hands raised like she was calming a wild animal. "I can explain." "Explain?" I spat, my voice rising, sharp enough to cut. "Explain how you have a daughter I don't know about. Another family?" The words felt foreign, like they belonged to someone else's life. I took a step back, the phone burning in my hand. "Who is she, Anna?" "Who's me?" She froze, her mouth opening and closing, searching for a lie I wouldn't believe. The rain pounded harder now, a roar that matched the storm in my head. "Please," she whispered, her voice breaking. "Let me tell you everything." "Everything?" I laughed, a bitter, hollow sound. 10 years, Anna. 10 years of lies. You don't get to decide what I hear now. I turned, my boots scraping the concrete, and stormed toward the house. She called after me, her voice desperate, but I didn't stop. The garage door slammed behind me, shutting her out, but not the pain that followed me, heavy and unyielding, as I climbed the stairs to Lily's room. I stood in her doorway, watching her sleep, her small chest rising and falling. She was so peaceful, so unaware that her world was about to crack open. I clutched the phone tighter, my nails digging into my palm. Whatever came next, I'd find the truth. For Lily, for me, even if it destroyed everything. The days after finding the phone were a blur of rage and fog. I moved through our house like a ghost. Every creak of the floorboards a reminder of the life I thought I knew. Anna's burner phone sat locked in my desk drawer, its existence a weight I couldn't shake. A partner in this secret life? I needed answers, but I was terrified of what they'd cost. Lily's laughter filled the house, her small hands tugging at my sleeve, and I forced smiles for her sake. But inside, I was unraveling. Each heartbeat a drumroll of dread. I started digging. Late at night, when Anna was asleep or working, I'd sit at the kitchen table, the glow of my laptop casting shadows on the walls. The air smelled of leftover coffee and the faint lavender of her candles, a scent that now made my stomach churn. I hacked into her email, something I'd never imagined doing. Using a password she'd once mumbled in her sleep, there were no smoking guns. But I found hospital records she'd forwarded to herself, mentioning a patient named Emma Carter. My breath hitched as I read the address. A town an hour away. Anna had no reason to be there, yet her calendar showed meetings in that area twice a month. I cross-referenced the name with public records and found a birth certificate. Emma Carter, father, Mark Sullivan. Mark, her colleague, the quiet doctor who lingered too long. My hands shook as I printed the document, the printer's hum deafening in the silent house. I stared at Emma's name, my vision blurring. Anna had a daughter with Mark, a whole life I didn't know. I remembered their casual chats at hospital events, the way she'd touch his arm and laugh. I'd been blind, trusting her while she built a family behind my back. The betrayal clawed at me, but so did the guilt. How had I missed this? Was I too wrapped up in our perfect life to see the cracks? I drove to the address the next day, my heart pounding as I parked across from a modest apartment building. The air was crisp, smelling of fallen leaves and distant wood smoke. Kids played in a nearby park, their shouts slicing through my haze. I sat in the car, gripping the steering wheel, watching the building's entrance. Then, I saw her. A girl, maybe 10, with Anna's hazel eyes and a shy smile. She carried a sketchbook, just like Lily. My throat closed up. This was Emma, my wife's daughter. I wanted to get out, to talk to her, but what would I say? Instead, I found a diner receipt in Anna's car later that week, dated the same day as one of her work trips, from a place near that apartment. The pieces were falling together, each one a fresh wound. At home, I played the part of the happy wife, but it was torture. Dinner was the worst. Anna sat across from me, passing mashed potatoes to Lily, her smile as warm as ever. "How was your day, babe?" she asked, her voice soft. I wanted to scream, to fling the burner phone across the table, but Lily's giggle stopped me. "Fine," I muttered, my fork scraping the plate. The sound grated like my nerves. I watched Anna's hands, the ones that had held mine through every storm, and wondered how they'd touched another life I wasn't part of. "Mommy, why are you quiet?" Lily asked, her big eyes searching mine. I forced a laugh, my chest tight. "Just tired, sweetheart." Anna's gaze lingered on me, and for a moment, I thought she knew I knew. I couldn't sleep. I'd lie beside her, the mattress a chasm between us, her steady breathing a mockery of my racing pulse. My mind replayed every moment of our marriage, searching for lies. The late-night calls she'd dismissed as work. The weekend trips she'd taken alone to clear her head. I'd believe her because I loved her. Now, love felt like a trap. I started following her, tailing her car to the hospital, watching her meet Mark in the parking lot, their heads bent close, her hand brushing his. My stomach lurched, and I gripped the steering wheel until my knuckles whitened. I wanted to confront them, but fear stopped me. What if the truth was worse than I imagined? The tension built like a storm, I found a hidden savings account in Anna's name, with regular transfers to an account I didn't recognize. Photos on her old tablet showed Emma at a birthday party, Anna beaming beside her. Each discovery was a brick in the wall between us, but I kept silent, gathering evidence, planning my next move. I had to protect Lily, to shield her from the fallout. But how? The house felt smaller, the walls closing in, the lavender candles suffocating. I looked at Anna, laughing with Lily over a board game, and felt a surge of hate so fierce it scared me. But beneath it, love lingered, stubborn and painful. Could I still love her after this? The question haunted me as I stood at the edge of our life, ready to leap into the unknown. The hospital fundraiser was a glittering cage of chandeliers and fake smiles, the kind of event Anna thrived in. I stood in a corner, my black dress clinging to my sweat-damp skin, a glass of untouched wine trembling in my hand. The room buzzed with laughter and clinking glasses, but all I could hear was the roar of my own pulse. I'd been carrying the weight of Anna's secret for weeks, each day a tighter knot in my chest. Tonight, I couldn't hold it anymore. I'd seen Mark's name on the guest list, and the thought of facing him, knowing he was part of her hidden life, pushed me to the edge. The air smelled of expensive perfume and roasted appetizers, but to me, it was suffocating, like the truth I was about to unravel. Anna moved through the crowd, radiant in a deep blue gown, her laughter cutting through the noise. She hadn't noticed me watching her, hadn't seen the way my eyes tracked her every step. I'd spent days piecing together her lies, the burner phone, the hospital records, the photos of Emma. I thought I knew the worst. Anna had a daughter with Mark, a secret family she'd kept for a decade. But I needed to hear it from her, to see her face when the truth spilled out. I spotted Mark near the bar, his quiet demeanor a stark contrast to the room's energy. He was talking to a colleague, but his eyes kept drifting to Anna. My stomach churned. I set my glass down, the clink lost in the chatter, and made my way toward him. "Mark," I said, my voice sharper than I intended. He turned, startled, his kind face tightening. "Can we talk?" The colleague excused himself, and Mark nodded, his Adam's apple bobbing. We stepped into a quieter hallway, the hum of the party muffled by heavy doors. My heart pounded, each beat a demand for answers. "I know about Emma," I said, the words spilling out like acid. "I know she's Anna's daughter, yours too." My voice shook, but I stood taller, fueled by weeks of silent rage. Mark's face crumpled, not with guilt, but with something heavier. Grief. "You don't understand," he said, his voice low, almost a whisper. "Emma's not mine." I froze, the hallway tilting around me. "She's yours." The words hit like a freight train, knocking the air from my lungs. I staggered back, my hand grabbing the wall for support. "What?" I choked out, my vision blurring. Mark's eyes were wet, his hands clenched. "Anna didn't want you to know. She thought you'd leave her if you found out she couldn't carry a child. Emma, she was conceived with a donor before you two met. Anna arranged it and raised her with me to protect you." My knees buckled, and I slid to the floor, the cold marble biting through my dress. Emma was mine, my daughter, not Mark's, not some stranger's, but mine. Flashes of memory hit me. Anna's vague answers about our fertility treatments, her insistence on handling the clinic visits alone. I'd thought Lily was our miracle, but Emma came first, a secret Anna buried to keep me. The betrayal wasn't just a hidden family, it was a theft of my own flesh and blood. I pressed my hands to my face, trying to stop the room from spinning. "Why?" I whispered, my voice breaking. "Why would she do this?" Mark knelt beside me, his voice soft but urgent. "She was scared. She thought you'd reject her infertility, that you'd want a child she couldn't give you." I didn't agree with it, but I went along to protect Emma. His words were a knife, twisting deeper. Anna hadn't just lied. She'd rewritten my life, decided what I could handle, and decided what I deserved to know. I looked at Mark, his face a mask of regret, and felt a surge of fury. "You knew," I said, my voice rising. "You both stole her from me." The hallway doors swung open, and Anna stood there, her face pale, her eyes wide with panic. She'd heard us. The party's noise spilled in, a cruel contrast to the storm between us. "Please," she said, rushing toward me, her heels clicking on the marble. "Let me explain." I stood, my legs shaking, and faced her. The woman I'd loved for a decade looked like a stranger, her beauty a mask for control. "Explain," I shouted, my voice echoing. Heads turned from the ballroom, whispers rippling through the crowd. "You hid my daughter from me. You let me believe Lily was our only child." Anna's hands reached for me, but I stepped back, my chest heaving. "I did it for us," she said, tears streaming down her face. I thought I was saving our marriage. Her voice cracked, but it didn't reach me. The pain was too deep, the betrayal too vast. "Saving us?" I laughed, a bitter, jagged sound. "You stole my child. You stole 10 years of her life from me." The crowd parted, eyes on us, but I didn't care. The truth was out, raw and bleeding, and I couldn't stop. "Was any of it real?" I asked, my voice dropping to a whisper. "Did you ever love me, or was I just part of your lie?" Anna sobbed, her hands covering her mouth, but she had no answer. The silence was louder than her tears. I turned, my heels echoing as I walked away, the ballroom a blur of shocked faces. Flashbacks hit me. Anna's late-night calls, her guarded smiles, the way she'd redirect my questions about our past. It all made sense now, a puzzle I'd been too blind to solve. She'd controlled every piece of ours. A child I never knew. I stepped into the night, the cool air biting my skin, and collapsed against my car, my sobs shaking my entire body. Emma was mine, and Anna had kept her from me. The truth was a wound that would never heal, but I wouldn't let it define me. I'd find Emma. I'd be her mother, no matter what it took. The stars above blurred through my tears, and I made a vow. Anna's lies wouldn't take another day from us. The weeks after the fundraiser were a storm I barely survived. I filed for divorce, each signature a cut to the heart I'd given Anna. She begged me to stay, her voice raw with tears. But I couldn't look at her without seeing the years she'd stolen. 10 years I could have known. Emma, held her, loved her. I moved out, taking Lily to a small apartment across town. The walls bare but honest. The air smelled of fresh paint and second chances. A stark contrast to the lavender-soaked lie of our old home. I fought for custody of both girls, my lawyer's office becoming a second home. Emma's transition was slow. She was shy and unsure, but her hazel eyes, so like Lily's, gave me strength. I'd sit with her, sketching mermaids like Lily loved, and feel a fragile bond grow. I rebuilt our life in a new city, a quiet place with wide parks and open skies. One afternoon, I watched Lily and Emma chase each other through a field, their laughter mingling with the rustle of leaves. The sun warmed my face, and for the first time in months, I breathed without pain. My heart still ached for the love I'd lost, but I was learning to forgive myself. I'd been blind, yes, but I'd trusted because I loved. Anna's betrayal taught me that trust is a gift, one that can't survive lies. I vowed to give my daughters a home where truth mattered, where they'd never doubt my love. Anna faded from our lives, her calls unanswered, her apologies too late. I didn't hate her anymore. I pitied her, trapped in a web of her own making. As I tucked Emma and Lily into bed, their small hands in mine, I felt a quiet strength. We were enough. The stars outside their window twinkled, a reminder that even broken things could shine again. I'd lost a marriage and a decade, but I'd gained 2 daughters and a truth worth fighting for. If I could go back, I'd ask harder questions. But I wouldn't change the pain. It led me here, to them. So I ask you, if the person you loved most hid a truth this big, could you forgive them or would you walk away like I did? Share your thoughts below. I want to know.